how come I didn't hear about this case? Being an Indian citizen, being in India, how come I didn't hear about it? And that's the trigger that convinced me that I should be part of this film, because this is a story that I wanted to be told. As a mother today, I can't even put myself in those shoes. And I didn't do that throughout the film because it was too difficult for me to even imagine something like that. So as a mother, I didn't have the courage to even think that. During Gulam, there was a question mark on my voice, good enough for the lead. And I was told that for the betterment of the film, it was important that my voice get dubbed. And though it hurt me.
Rani Mukerji, I'm proud of you. I'm just so happy. I'm thrilled that I'm sitting opposite one of the most accomplished actors of Indian cinema who is delivering a movie, Mrs. Chatterjee Vs Norway, on 17 March, a film which I have seen just last night and has left me speechless.
Thank you, Vicky. Thank you for your kind words.
But really, you know, I just can't, I've still not got over it. And I really want to just start off by asking you, which were your most 3 difficult scenes? Because also a sub-question to this, that has this been the most challenging role till date?
I think I wouldn't say it has been my most challenging film till date, but I would like to say one thing, is that it's one of the most shocking scripts that I've done till date. Because when I got to know about the story the first time, when Nikhil called me and told me that this is a film I would like you to consider, and when he told me the gist of the film and he told me that it's a true story, I actually thought he was lying, because I couldn't believe what he was telling me across the phone. And it was already during the pandemic time, so we all were not really in great spirits. So it was already a very depressing time. It was beginning of Jan to 2021 when he made this call to me. And I really thought he's trying to sell a film to me, for me to do, by saying these dramatic things and some absurd things, which is not really possible. It can't be true. So after I hung up the phone with him, I actually started to research and I started to Google about this case. And I discovered that the Indian media had picked up on this case during 2011. It was all over the media that time. The fact that it had also reached the Indian government, and the Indian government was also involved. So that means this case did have a lot of chatter. What amazed me in my next thought was, how come I didn't hear about this case? Being an Indian citizen, being in India, how come I didn't hear about it? And that's the trigger that convinced me that I should be part of this film, because this is a story that I wanted to be told. This is a story that I thought that a lot of people need to be made aware that these are the things that are happening to a lot of people, not only Indians, but different nationalities outside their country. Because when we know of, our family and friends who live abroad, we're always shown the rosy picture. We don't know what they must be going through day in, day out, because that's never the conversation. The trials or tribulations or the prejudices that they must be going through. Because we are always told that they're having a really great life and a better life. But this incident, this subject, this story shocked me, that how come an Indian family went through this in another country? And there might be so many more stories like this that actually happen day in and day out. So I really wanted to be part of this film, because I really thought that this story is very, very poignant. The story is very important, and I think every Indian should know about the story that actually happened in real.
3 most difficult scenes?
3 most difficult scenes, I wouldn't say like specifically, but I think every scene in the movie was in itself a very, very dark space to be in, because as a mother today, I can't even put myself in those shoes. And I didn't do that throughout the film because it was too difficult for me to even imagine something like that. So as a mother, I didn't have the courage to even think that. So for me, my respect for Sagarika was even more, because she didn't give up the fight. She accepted her reality and she kept fighting. She fought in Norway, she fought in India, but she didn't give up. And she's amongst the stories which are definitely of hope. because she won her children back. But what about the other parents who are suffering, still being away from their children, or those children who are still not reunited with their parents? When you think of all those things, it can really make you feel really, really sad about this whole thing. But I could tap into some kind of emotion that Sagarika felt in those years through this film, because I was so involved with Devika's character. I had to live Devika's character, so I did feel a certain pain that the real mothers might be feeling. But it's, to be honest, it's a really, really very tough place to be in. It's a pain that I don't think any mother will be able to even relate with.
But you know, I don't think any other person would have been able to do this role. I can't imagine. I've thought of some names here and there last night after seeing the film. I couldn't zero down.
Thank you.
But that scene, you know, where they are dragging you and your feet is going up and down on the floor. How did you do that? And can I say that you're not 19? How did you do that?
But see, even if I'm not 19, at least I should believe that I have the spirit of a 19-year-old. No, but I think it is the emotion that a mother feels for a child and the pain that a mother can feel by not being with her children. I think those are things that were part of my system when I used to become Devika. I think it all used to come to me. And there used to be certain magic that used to happen in the scenes, which I was not aware of even, you know. There used to be a certain emotion that used to take over my being, you know, and that's how I think I have been able to portray certain scenes in the film.
Have you received a lot of love from the media? Because when I came out of the theatre, I mean, almost everyone that I asked was stunned. And did you get a lot of love?
Yeah, it is a film that kind of stuns you because you can't believe the audacity of what the story says. You know, so as an Indian, you will feel the pain. As an Indian, you will feel appalled. As an Indian, you will be in disbelief. Because it is not normal for an Indian to believe that for our cultural differences, our children can be separated from us. It is something that is a disbelieving factor, which I felt when I heard the story the first time. But as we say, truth is stranger than fiction. It is the reality, and the more we understand that it is the reality, the more the film hits you even harder.
Did you have to put on some weight for the role to look the part?
Yes, because I am playing a mother who's still feeding her child, and it was important for me to look the part and look real. And since you've seen the film, I can tell you, it was a deliberate attempt from the part of all of us to make the film as authentic as it can be.
Yeah.
We didn't go into the thought process that, you know, because it's a pan-India film, we should try and cater to an audience that only understands a particular language. Because if you've seen the film, there are dialogues in Norwegian, there are dialogues in English, there are dialogues in Bengali. And there are dialogues in Hindi. So we've tried to keep it as authentic as it can be, because the more authentic it would be, I think it can relate to an audience at large globally. Because if we try to make it very Hindi, it's not natural for a Bengali person to speak that much Hindi when they break into a fight or something. And it happens in every language. If you're a South Indian, when you're fighting, you will try and go back to speaking in Malayalam or in Tamil or in Telugu or in Kannada. Or if you're a Gujarati, you would fight in Gujarati. Or if you're a Maharashtrian, you would fight in that language. So I think it comes naturally to people who are comfortable to speak their own language. You know, maybe the communication language could be Hindi or English, but when it comes to talking emotional things, or when it comes to talking things which are emotionally disturbing, I think you break into your own language, and that's what we've portrayed in the film. It could be a problem for an audience like you, who's not a Bengali speaking person, but we wanted to go that extra mile to make it look as authentic as
No, but ऐसा लग नहीं रहा था that we are getting distracted by the dialogues, because sometimes, you know, there have been movies, some other language has been used, which has often been a deterrent actually in understanding the film.
Right.
But here it didn't come across like that.
I'm so glad to hear that, because that was the intention. The intention was not to distract an audience. The intention was not to make the audience wonder why they are breaking into Bengali. The idea was to make it look as authentic, and because the dialogues spoken in Bengali are not any informative dialogues that are spoken. Those are just emotional lines. And if you get the emotion of the character, you would understand it, irrespective of whether you know the language or not.
But you know, what a wonderful career you've had. I just was reading up last night after that movie. I don't know why I had to go back and read about you, but for the obvious reason. You start off your career by refusing a film, Aagali Lag Ja, and you know, you're saying that I don't want to do films.
Yeah.
And here you are, and I'm just wondering, how could you refuse that film also?
Because I was very young, and it was not a career path that I wanted to choose for myself. It was not something that I thought that I would be able to do, because it was not as if I was keen in doing dramatics in school, or I was associated with drama, or that my family came from a film family, so it was a obvious choice for me to take. Contrary to what people believe, not all film families are well-to-do and not at the top of the game. There are families who struggle to even make ends meet and go through the churn that probably a business family goes through. Business families who are not doing well go through. So it was not something that was eventually a natural progression for me to do in any case. So when I say that I didn't want to do films, it's not out of arrogance that I say that I didn't want to do films. I don't think I knew better. It was not as if that it was something that I looked down upon, so I didn't want to do it. It's not something that I ever thought that I could ever achieve, or I could be an actor, because there was a certain mold that actors were supposed to be, especially at the time that I was watching films as a kid. They were all screen goddesses. So I never really imagined myself to be in the same shoes as those goddesses like Madhuri Dixit or Sri Devi or Juhi Chawla. So I was like, I have a very different voice. I don't know whether I can dance as well. I don't know whether I can emote as well. And those kind of conversations were never made in my home that would make me think of films. But I guess destiny plays a very important role in your life, and I was destined to be an actor. And thank God that my mother chose this path for me, because I would have been too silly enough to have let go of an opportunity like this, and I would have never known that I would be able to enjoy this, profession the amount I enjoy today.
That's stage one of being a winner, but alongside immediately there was this whole thing happening that they want to dub your voice, and you used to put your foot down, if I'm not wrong.
See, actually, as a newcomer...
It happened in one or two films earlier.
So, no, not really. See, as a newcomer, you really have no choice, because nobody is really going to hear you or listen to you, for that matter. Because people do things, especially producers and directors, and I'm saying this in very good taste. Whatever decisions producers or directors take for their films, it's always for the benefit of the film. Nobody will deliberately want to make a bad film. This is never an intention of a producer or director. Unfortunately, certain times films don't work because they don't connect to an audience. But that doesn't mean that the director or producer have not taken time out to really think about a film and make a film. Nobody wants to make an unsuccessful film to start with. So when I did my first film, Raje Ki Aayegi Baraat, I dubbed my own film, and it was my own film. But during Gulam, there was a question mark on my voice, and whether my voice was good enough for the lead opposite Amir. And not many actresses had a voice like mine at that time. So it was very different and very distinct even at that point. And I was told that for the betterment of the film, it was important that my voice get dubbed. And I'm always there for what is best for the film, because I feel that's the way I always look at cinema, that it has to be a teamwork, it has to be an overall project that we all own and we all want to make. So I was told that, and though it hurt me, I didn't make a big deal about it. And I said, okay, if that's for the betterment and they feel that another person's voice would be better suited for the part, I'm sure. Obviously, I still feel that my soul is not in Gulam, because it's not my voice. So if it's not my voice, I feel that it can't be me. But then, of course, Kuch Kuch Hota happened at the same time as Gulam. And Karan was of a different mindset. And Karan said that, Rani, do you have a problem in dubbing? So I said, no, Karan, it's just that they chose to dub my voice. He said, did you dub for your first film? I said, of course I did. So he said, then you'll dub for my film too, because I would like your voice to be there, because I like your voice. And thanks to Karan that today there are so many people who admire my voice. And I got to keep my voice because Kuch Kuch Hota Hai was a big ticket film, and a lot of people watched that as well, and they liked my voice.
That stage too, but the final stage which took you really to make you the Rani Mukerji was after a slight lull again between 2006 to 2008,
Right.
or maybe even till 2011,
Right.
till No One Killed Jessica came, and now you are the protagonist in every film.
Right.
Was that period a little tough after getting so much of success?
I think, Vicky, any actor will go through a tough time when they see success and they'll see failure. But the way I was probably brought up, or the words that kept very, very loud and clear in my head was of my father's, who had told me that don't take success or failure very seriously in this profession, because both are inevitable. Because you cannot ever see only success, and you'll never only see failure. It'll always be up and down for you. And the more you treat those times with dignity, the better it'll be for your own mental health. So for me, it was very important that I see success and failure as a tool for me to move forward in my career. It was never like, oh, I'm so upset that abhi main kuch nahi karungi. Oh, ye in logon ne pasand nahi ki meri picture. It can be a little lull for like a week or so, but then you have to get back.
You proved it with No One Killed Jessica, and then one film after the other, you have been the hero and the heroine. At this point, I would like to ask you, would you even do a Talash? I mean, today I see Rani just in the center, doing everything.
I would hope that I would like to do as an actor, because it inspires me to do different characters. It inspires me to play different Indian women, portraying different Indian women in different scenarios of their life. It excites me to play different women, because in my lifetime, I can only be Rani. And that's who I am. But I can be Tina, I can be Meera Geti, I can be Michelle McNally, I can be Mrs. Chatterjee, I can be so many different, I can be Naina Mathur, I can be so many different women in this lifetime of mine by living those characters in my films. So I would like to do different movies, I would like to play different characters, and it's not necessary that it has to be a central character. I would like to play a part in a film which is equally important, where my role in the film is equally important to the narrative, and it does not have to be a main role, but it has to touch my heart, and I have to feel that it's an important thing for me to do. I don't want to be part of any like main role also, which is something that I don't agree with. Like if somebody offers me a main part and I'm, as you said, the hero and the heroine of the film, and if that film is not important to me, or it doesn't touch my heart, or it doesn't make sense to me, I would not like to do that as well. So the crux of the matter is, I would like to do a part in a film that moves me. Mrs. Chatterjee Vs Norway, the film, the character Devika Chatterjee, it moved me. It made me think as a human being. It made me think as a citizen of this country. So many things. It's just not a story about a mother's love or a mother's courage. It's also much more than that. It's about how you love your country, what you think about your country. It's so much more than just that. So for me, these are the trigger points for me as an actor that excites me to do or be part of a film. And I hope so I can continue doing that. As long as writers and filmmakers come to me with these interesting parts, I would love to be part of those films.
I'm sure you're not going to tell me how many films you have rejected, but let's conclude with the inspiration of this film, that is your mom.
Yeah.
I want you to tell me one incident where she just stood up for you. Obviously she did, because you said she was the inspiration.
See, for my mom, what inspires me about her is that she's very proud of her roots. She is somebody who has not changed by being 50 years in like Bombay. She's married 50 years back. She lived with my father, who spoke impeccable English, impeccable Hindi, without an accent, because my father was a UP wala. He is born and brought up in Jhansi. My mom is born and brought up in West Bengal. She got married when she was 20 years old. But in these 50 years of being in Maharashtra, I have not seen her deviate from her roots of being a Bengali. She's very much a Bengali even today, and I am very proud of that when I see my mom. She embodies for me everything that is Bengali, that I know that is Bengali. Whatever I know about my culture, whatever I know about my roots is thanks to my mother. She didn't change because that was something that she needed to do.
But did she stand up against somebody who told you something or anything in school, in teacher or anywhere?
Always, always. She has always been that person, even without me wanting her to be that person. She has always been that person, and that's who she is. And she wouldn't change for anybody, not even for her children. She is who she is, and she carries herself with who she is and what she believes in.
I don't want you to change either. And I repeat, I am really proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rani. Thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you.